What's up, guys? It's Eric, and this video, Adderall and cocaine, and really what the difference is. The most frustrating thing that I run into a lot when I talk to individuals out there that are struggling is a lot of them are recovering addicts. I'm a recovering addict, but yet we deal with mental illness. And unfortunately, the stigma of our addiction can transfer over into the treatment of our mental illness. And one of the big ones is when it comes to somebody that's abused cocaine, and now all of a sudden it turns out that they are ADHD, and getting prescribed Adderall can be a problem. So I wanted to do a video on it, maybe explain it to some of the doctors out there even from an addict standpoint of how Adderall's a lifesaver for me, but cocaine's my drug of choice, yet I treat and handle both of them completely differently. If you're new to my channel, hit the like and subscribe button. My channel is all about mental health, mental illness, suicide awareness, sobriety, just making sure that nobody goes it alone. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor. My name is Eric. I'm diagnosed with MDD, GAD, PTSD, and ADHD. I lost a wife and a father to suicide, and I'm a recovering alcoholic and cocaine addict. Now, being diagnosed with ADHD, if you're not familiar with ADHD, it's attention hyperactivity deficit disorder. And it is a struggle and a challenge in life. It is your brain is going a million miles a second with a ton of different thoughts that jump all over the place. And one of the things with ADHD is that stimulants affect us differently than somebody without ADHD. For example, Adderall is a stimulant. Now, I understand that Adderall has addictive properties. That is why it is from a prescription and you have to go to a doctor to get it. And it isn't a drug that is abused, but it's also a drug that's a lifesaver to many. And especially those who struggle with any kind of stimulant addiction, a lot of times our addiction is because it also benefits us. There is a self-medicating formula almost to it. The reason that I did so much cocaine, and I was doing 1 to 2 8 balls a day, to give you an idea, an 8 ball is about 3.5 grams. So I'm doing anywhere from almost 4 grams of coke to 8 grams of coke a day, which is a lot if you count a powder form and what that weighs. Versus the Adderall, which I take 10 milligrams in the morning and I take 10 milligrams in the afternoon, and that's it. Adderall I don't abuse. Adderall is actually, to me, is my cure-all drug because it helps me focus. But so did cocaine. When I was doing cocaine, it offset the effects of the massive amount of alcohol I was drinking, but it also slowed me down to where I could function. And what I mean by functioning is I was able to start a task and complete a task. A challenge with being ADHD is that we can start a ton of different tasks but never finish them. We can get distracted very easily, and our focus, it's not that we have trouble focusing, it's that we have so many different things all of a sudden that we're trying to focus on that we just jump around very quickly. Well, when you're taking a stimulant, it slows you down to a point. When I'm on cocaine or when I take Adderall, it's not like I feel like Superman and I'm going to conquer the world and I'm very energetic. No, I'm actually a lot more quiet, reserved, and more calculated than what I am when I'm not on one. For example, I can take Adderall and I can sleep. Adderall actually, if I'm overly stressed and overly depressed, will actually help me stress because it puts my mind at ease where I can only focus on one thing at a time. And it helps me through my day. The biggest challenge, though, is a lot of times with an addict, you go into a doctor, and let's face it, we're an addict, so we own that shit. So we're in with our therapist, and we let them know, and I've done this before. If, I'm a recovering addict to alcohol and cocaine. I'm also diagnosed with ADHD and been diagnosed multiple times with ADHD, and Adderall helps me. A lot of doctors will not prescribe Adderall to anybody who is a cocaine addict or a stimulant addict, even when it comes to meth. Even though there is actually legally prescribed meth, essentially, for Adderall or for ADHD, which is one of the ADHD medications out there. The understanding of both of them is not there. I mean, with cocaine, you are abusing it. You're taking it through your nose. There is no measurement, anything of that sort. With Adderall, you can trial and error it to find the right milligrams, the right dosage for you, so that you function to your optimum potential. The thing, though, is a lot of doctors, as soon as they find out that you're a cocaine addict, they think that you're using it and abusing it for the high effect. And in a lot of cases, that's not true. And there's nothing worse. I feel for people out there that do struggle with ADHD that are a recovering addict, because there is that stigma that goes with you of going, well, you're just going to abuse this like you did the other drugs. No. Like, I want to function like a normal human being. Don't you realize that? And to take away the tools because you've made an assumption, I think is completely wrong. And I hate when doctors do that. It's one thing that doctors do that really pisses me off, because a lot of them do not understand addiction or care to understand addiction. We're lumped together instead of actually sitting down with the individual and treating them as a human being, instead of, hey, you're an addict. There is a difference between the two. When it comes to Adderall, the last thing I want to do is run out of my Adderall, because then I cannot function. I am not performing as an adult. I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing the things around my house that I need to do, and I'm not maintaining myself. Adderall is the one drug that helps me do that. And not even all of the ADHD medications out there work the same for me. I didn't like Ritalin because it wore off too quickly. Adderall XR, the extended release, it released too long in the day that I wasn't getting the help from it that I needed at the times that I needed. With Adderall, finding the perfect dosage amount, it took some trial and error. And once I did, man, my grades went up. I was able to have a great job. I've been able to do so many different things with the help of this tool and not abusing it. I mean, when it came to cocaine, yeah, if there was coke there, I would snort it. I mean, when there's Adderall there, I'm like, oh, did I take my medication today? It's a different mindset, and I don't think a lot of therapists understand that and realize that. And one of the things I think that needs to almost be done is, unfortunately, I think when therapists even remotely attempt to understand an addict or learn about addiction, AA and NA are not places of education. Those are places that we addicts are going to, that we're sharing our shit. We're sharing our baggage, our triggers, what's going on. And that's what gives you that assumption that, hey, this is how everybody is. It's completely wrong. When it comes down to being a doctor, you got to treat each individual as an individual. For some people, I do know people out there that pop Adderall like Skittles. They pop this like Skittles. Me, every single day, I have a pill cutter, but I don't really use it. I have 20 milligram pills. I break them in half. And I take my 10 milligrams at 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. And I also take my second dose between 11:30 and 12 in the afternoon. And it helps me function as a human being, and also helps me stay sober. And now you have all these conflicting things of, even if I go to NA and I talk about my addiction, I talk then about sobriety, I'm not sober in a lot of people's eyes because I am on Adderall. But if I'm not on Adderall, I will be drinking, I will be doing cocaine, I will be fucking up my life. Or I can be on Adderall, I can function as a human being, I can be extremely productive, and I can have a happy and fulfilling life. The choice is mine. I'm going to have a happy and fulfilling life because I've found what works. When it comes to alcohol, or when it comes to cocaine, and when it comes to Adderall, they are different drugs. And what a lot of times we don't realize is all drugs affect people differently. It's a trial and error even when it comes to drugs. I mean, even if you ask a drug addict, it was a trial and error to find their drug of choice. So it's not like we're addicted to almost everything out there. There are some addicts that will pop everything in sight. There's some that have their drugs of choice like I was. I was very picky. My drugs of choice was cocaine. It was alcohol. I didn't like any of the other drugs out there. And when it comes to Adderall, though, it's not abused. It's not taken incorrectly. I'm not snorting it. I'm not crushing it up. I'm not doing anything other than taking it as prescribed and functioning. And doctors should realize that, hey, you can catch on really quick if somebody's abusing their prescription, because they're going to be calling you to try and get their prescription refilled a lot sooner than what it's going to run out. But yet doctors just instantly shut that down. And I wish that there was a way to be more open-minded about it. And the only thing that I can hope for is that eventually doctors do get to the point that they are more open-minded, and they learn to understand the human and not the category. Because as soon as we start categorizing people, that's where we lose what it's about. Everybody's a human, everybody's an individual, and everybody reacts differently to everything. And sometimes there are doctors out there that are extremely closed-minded. And then I also feel that those are then the doctors that set the stigma of why people don't open up to their doctors, why they don't believe in therapy, why they don't believe in medication. Because you have these doctors that are not open-minded. Open-mindedness, learning the human being, and actually going through a journey with them of trial and error is everything. And you can save lives that way, or you can actually hinder lives. I know a lot of people that have relapsed because, you know what, they're not given anything to help up here. So what do? We go back to self-medicating. You know, if you ask a lot of addicts why they relapse, they're going to tell you, I hit a depressive state. I hit a state where everything was crumbling around me and I couldn't handle it. Well, when this shit up here is straight and we're taking our meds as needed, we're able to handle life's problems a little bit easier. It's not a thing of abuse. It's a thing of finding what works for us also. And I know that some people probably won't agree with me on this, but this is my thought process on it because I've seen it so much. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not diagnosing anybody. But I can just say this, that anybody out there with ADHD that is struggling and they are having problems trying to find any kind of ADHD medication because the doctors are saying, nope, you're a recovering addict on these different stimulants or you're addicted to these different stimulants. So that obviously counts in all stimulants all of a sudden. I wish that you had some open-mindedness. I wish that you would take the time to learn your patient, understand your patient, and work with your patient. That's all I can say. That's my best piece of advice out there. That just because somebody was a cocaine addict doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to abuse every stimulant out there. Just because they were a meth addict doesn't mean that they're going to abuse every stimulant out there. You can find the right medications, and once you find that right tool, oh my God, life is amazing. Life opens up and it's so much easier, and it's like, wow, I got this. So for anybody out there struggling, my heart goes out to you. I understand. Don't give up because there are doctors out there that understand what you're going through. And you may have to trial and error to find those doctors. If you have a doctor that's very closed-minded, that might not be the right doctor for you. Because just like with doctors, you got to remember, you don't work for your doctor works for you. I mean, that's what it's about, is they work for us. We're going to them for them to help us, not for us to go to them for us to help them. Keep that in mind. So I hope that this helps somebody out there who's struggling right now with this, because I know I've been hit up by a lot of different individuals that are, and it is a battle. And for anybody who's struggling, trying to find that trial and error with the medication, I know that the journey you're on, because I've been on that journey. And just remember this, that you're not alone, and that just don't give up. Find that right therapist for you. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below. I'd love to see your comments, because I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to. There's so many different stigmas out there, and so often it gets drawn into the mental health and mental illness areas that it starts to categorize people and not humanize people. And once we start to rehumanize people, each individual's treatment's different. And that's the amazing thing, is finding that right treatment with somebody and helping them fight through every single day. So hit that like and subscribe button. In the description, I have links to all my different social medias. I have links to my mental health Discord communities for peer-to-peer support. Even have a link down below to things on Amazon that I use, like fidget cubes and fidget spinners, things that help me with my anxiety, that help kind of bring it down a little bit. Even have a link down below to BetterHelp, trial and error, find what works for you. Even have a link below to Renewal Recovery, who is somebody that I work with that does mental health and also addiction. Believe it or not, there are recovery centers out there just for mental health. So you're not alone. You know what? You're amazing. You're a BAMP. You're a badass motherfucker. And you made it through 100% of your worst days to make it through to today. And together we got this.